Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Just the Tip with SAZON, Monday, November 1st. You guys believe that? November 1st already, man. So I started not a diet. I hate to say that, but it was Monday on the 1st. I started a calorie deficit counting today. So we'll go at it for about 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, before we start munching. But we got a good show today. We have Mr. Richard Corbo from, I hope I'm saying his name right, from he's in charge of the Youth Service League now. If you guys grew up in New York City, Parade Grounds area, Youth Service League was one of the most prominent leagues growing up in our era. And Mr. Richard Corbo is trying to bring that back. So I want to thank him for giving us his time. There's a lot of stuff going on with his life right now, so we appreciate his time to come through here on Just the Tip with Sazon, guys. I'd appreciate if you guys, when you have a chance, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and we're on Facebook also. So I hope everybody had a great Halloween. You got some candy for me? Put it on the side when I see you, but it'll be in 3 weeks because I'm on my calorie deficit. So again, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining. And without further ado, I'd like to bring in Mr. Richard Corbo.
Hey, Sally.
What's going on?
Listen, well, thank you. Thank you for having me in your show, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Just a tip with Sazon. This is a quick, we give a history, lesson to some of the people out there who don't know the history. And, your grind to where you got to where you at now. So I'd like to ask you, where did it begin for you? Where did it first start? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Hell's Kitchen and went to played a lot of ball in like Central Park when they had the leagues up in the Bronx, but it wasn't much going on there. And I met my buddy Jose Suncar, who ended up being the starting first baseman for LIU, Long Island University, for the 4 years that he played. So we liked each other's game, and he said, "Look, I play in summer. I play out in Brooklyn. Why don't you come out with me?" And gave it a thought. And compared to the way the fields were and the leagues were running for youth in Manhattan, the Bronx, and the areas that I knew, it just disappointing. So I said, you know what, I need a challenge here, and I took a hike with him out there. We used to ride that D train for about an hour to get to parade grounds from where we lived, and it was not a joke.
Right.
But once we got out there and I walked into parade grounds when it was well cared for, and I was just in awe of how many teams, the talent level, the coaching, the screaming and the yelling. And then Mel kind of was at his best. He was a young coach, but he was already on full throttle there.
What are you doing?
Right.
No.
And so, once I got out there and I met his father really left an impression on me, Mr. Herb Zitter. He
Yes.
also, there was another coach, Mr. Williams, that those guys really made an impression on me. And I really wanted to get away from home at the time, too. The more time that I spent away, the better off I was. So having a chance, being good enough to play for the team at my age or a team that was older, and being young enough to play for another team just really took my time. So would I would get to parade grounds maybe 8 in the morning, not leave until about 5, 6 in the afternoon. And it was great for me because it kept me away from the neighborhood, which wasn't a good neighborhood. A lot of my friends were tremendous athletes, and they sort of knew that I had a future in the game, and they would kind of keep me away when they were doing what they were doing.
Right.
And so that made it easier for me to stay away from the neighborhood and situations as a kid. And so youth service became sort of my haven until I finally left for college. So
Yeah.
pretty much that's how we started.
That story pertains to a lot of New York City can swallow you whole, right? But when guys have talent and people in the neighborhood see that, they kind of like, hey, stay away from
Yeah.
him. Leave him alone. He's doing his thing. you know, that proceeds throughout New York City, I feel.
I mean, I,
So
I grew up with guys that the Yankees wanted to sign. I had a couple of guys who went as far as Double A with the Giants. I grew up with guys who made All Stars in the NHL. But some of these guys, the guys that went all the way up to pro life, they're okay. I had one guy became a judge. He's still a judge, Bronze Circuit Court. But for the most part, the ones that weren't too interested in books and really doing it, putting the work in, they were already started in another kind of business. So those guys would tell me, if we catch you doing what we're doing, you got to beat them.
right.
So youth service kind of opened that avenue for me to kind of stay away from it.
So you played for service.
Yeah.
You go to college from where'd you go to high school?
Well, I went to Brandeis High School.
Brandeis. Okay.
Yeah, that back in the days, it weren't so many teams and so many divisions, with just two divisions, A and B in Manhattan. A being stronger because he had George Washington High School, Brandeis. It was only about maybe six, seven schools, and so the talent was concentrated, and so you really had some tough games out there, and from I made Old City all 3 years that I was in that I played high school, because I did my ninth grade in middle school. So I ended up playing 3 years in high school.
Threes.
All
Right.
3 years, I was honorable mention the first year, also the next two. I share the spotlight with guys like Lee Mazzilli, guys like Mike Toro, who's a legend as a coach at Monroe High School, who I won three baseball championships with when I was teaching and coaching at Monroe. And
Okay.
so these are the guys that it was pretty competitive at the time.
My how long has he been there, Mike Toro?
I say 30 plus.
Right.
He's
Because
still coaching.
yeah, I remember that name when I think I was in high school. So yeah, that's been a while. Like probably like around this little bit after our era. But good for him. I mean, that's good for him. I know Monroe always has a good program. And Brandeis, I remember Coco Flores and George
Well,
Washington.
those guys ended up playing for me because
Yeah,
at one point I was the assistant coach to Joe Sunkar, Jose Sunkar, who
right,
was the head coach at Brandeis. So guys like JJ Rodriguez, Carlos, his brother,
right.
Alayon, there
Elvis.
was Elvis Alayon, there
Hmm.
was Mike Rodriguez. All of
Hmm.
those guys ended up playing for me for youth service as
Right.
well as playing at Brandeis High School.
Okay.
Now you don't even hear the name of Brandeis High School anymore.
Right.
It's like completely gone into the gutter.
Right. Yeah, as many high schools like that I knew back in the days don't ring bells anymore. But all right. So moving forward, okay. So you went to college. You said, right? Where'd you go to
Yeah.
college from? From
Well, I was supposed to go to LIU. Something did happen at admissions, and so I knew the coach at Kingsborough knew about me, Lou Shore, tremendous coach. A lot of the stuff that I do now comes from him.
right,
And at the time, Kingsborough was nationally ranked. They got guys like Lonnie Harris, Ruffy Hammond. These are guys that I played against. They played for Ty Cobbs, Gil Hodges. Back in the glory days, these were the really strong teams from in Brooklyn. And all of a sudden, he hears that I have no place to go. He speaks to Mel. Mel says, go to Kingsborough. And I never regretted it. I loved the school, being out there, has his own field. They have a private beach for themselves. I just loved everything about the
right.
school. And the level of competition was tremendous. So I fell in love with the school and I went out there, played 2 years.
Yeah, Kingsborough always was pretty productive. I remember even years later, I think Matt Rossi went over there, and they always had a pretty good program. I don't know how they are
Yeah.
now, but I mean, I know they had a pretty good program growing up.
They took a step back. I keep in touch because I have sent a few players there. I know the coach, and they have great facilities. They should be better, but being that it's a CUNY school, a lot of guys that have a chance, especially now with the travel teams pushing the kids outside of the state, then they're not drawing as much
Right.
talent as they should.
So you go to Kingsborough. That's 2 year school, obviously,
Yeah.
community college.
Mhm.
After the 2 years, you end up going Southwest, right?
Yes, I did. I went to Southern Methodist University in Dallas. It was kind of a lucky situation. I just happened to be playing in the summer, and someone approached me and told me, "Look, I'm scouting for the school. We need an infielder. We like what I like what I see. I already sent some videos to the coach. Uh, is this something you want to try out? And I was dying to get away from home because I had a chance to go to Arizona State out of high school. But given my personal situation at home, I did not go. I didn't leave. And
Right.
so I said, I'm not going to make the same mistake now. And so I accepted the scholarship, and that's all she wrote.
Right.
I didn't fly. Things were so bad that I took the bus down there. It's 39-hour ride. My back was like in four different places when the time I got off.
I
But
got you beat. I went to New Mexico 52 hours, so I know exactly what you're
oh
talking
my
about.
God.
The first thing you want to do is take a shower when you're done with that bus ride. It's like the longest thing. You sleep a day, you still got another day to
I
go.
mean,
So
once you get past Tennessee, it's like therapeutic time now.
yeah, no, I know the feeling. So I did it twice, back and forth. I flew once, but yeah, it was hectic. So I know exactly. So, but I agree with you. The same thing with me was like it was the best decision as far as me leaving New York. The best baseball that I played, competition wise, and stuff like that. As far as like playing, I mean, there's great ball players in New York City, but just the nonstop of baseball. It was like February through
Exactly.
no, like November, like what I mean, like we started August to November, and then we started February till May, so it was incredible.
Right. I had a shot to come home that Christmas, but by the time I got back to Dallas, it was the biggest snowstorm you can see. The entire country came to a halt, and it's hard down there because they don't know how to drive. By February 4th, the fields were clean. There was no snow, nothing. Temperature was about 70 during the day. Would drop down to about 50 at night,
Yeah,
and we were playing. The regular season started in
yeah,
February. Never before
yeah.
I had seen anything like that.
No, I know.
So I was like, seven heaven,
Yeah,
bring it on.
no, I know. All right, so you go to SMU, you get back, you go to the minor leagues.
Well, what happened is that Jim Sumberg, who was the brother of not Jim Sumberg, he's the one who had the cross checker who signed me. He was a major league catcher at one point, but Henry Beebe, who used to be a guard for the Knicks, his brother was Jim Beebe. He was like 6'5". He was a free
Is that
agent.
Mike Bibby's dad?
Uh, my baby's dad,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And so what happened is that he was a free agent. He wanted to leave Pittsburgh and come play for the Rangers. So he happens to be working out on our school. So he used to pitch batting practice. I was easy to spot. I was the only dark skinned player in the team, and so he would pitch batting practice. He's bringing around from between 85, 89, just so that he wouldn't hurt us
Right.
pretty much. And I'm starting to handle, I was doing a good job of during BP. So he starts to talk to me, talks to my coach. He sends a word up. And we had a game against Texas at Arlington. They had a kid who had been drafted the year before as a junior. He's coming in now as a senior. He was showcasing that game. And SMU was not at the top of the Southwest Conference at the time. The primetime teams were the Texas Longhorns, Texas Tech, Baylor,
Right.
Texas A&M. Those were the team. Arkansas, who was in our conference, Rice. So this kid pitched for Rice, and no, actually Texas at Arlington. And he comes in, he's pumping about 92, 93, so about 6'2", Mexican American kid. So he comes in and then happened to fall in the lineup that night, Friday night. He comes in, he tries to gas me. I just dropped the barrel on it, and he went. So now, I did something that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
And so next time I come up, he tries to slide. I pull him into the left field corner. By the end of the game, there was a postcard waiting for me from the scout that was there to watch him from the Texas Rangers. So I fill out the card, sent him out. I didn't think anything of it. I got excited, but I
Right.
didn't think anything because that's the whole purpose. You've been playing ball, you got talent,
Of
you want to
course.
go to the next level. So I'm excited. I couldn't sleep that night. Oh my God. But then the next day, I'm probably not going to hear from this guy. Arkansas comes in for a 3-game series, and they had 3 brothers who were going to be signed. Uh, Center fielder, shortstop, second base combo. So I did pretty well on that. And so now the scout happened to come back, And so they started talking to me, and one thing led to another. That said, look, towards the end of the season, I had a really good series against Sam Houston. They came in, they had a really good team, and I had a really good series on that one. And so they said, look, we cannot draft you, but we can offer you a feeler. We can give you a flyer when we start filling in the rosters for rookie league and Class A and so forth. And so I accepted, but they told me you have to stay in Dallas. You cannot leave. And so I stayed with my shortstop who already had a family and he had an apartment. So I stayed with him for about 3 weeks in Dallas, playing the Metro, and then they offered me a chance to go up to Amarillo, play there with a double A team until the Class A team in Sarasota would open. And then from there, they give me 2 weeks to come home, see my mom, drop some money, and then go to Sarasota. And that was the beginning of it.
Okay.
And so I played there. Then from there, I went to Arizona for, I was getting ready to go to high A when I crashed into a catcher and I did a number on my right wrist and I needed surgery. So that's at that point when they said, well, we tried one surgery, it didn't get better. We're going to let you go. And then you got to call us back the minute you rehab and you get better. And so that's how I got caught on not being able to, get back to what you would call a professional major league
Gotcha.
speed.
Gotcha. I mean, that happens a lot, right? I mean, a lot of it's politics. A lot of it is, financially. Where were you in the organization? You know what I mean? Because if it was
Right.
something they invested into you, you'd probably get, all the attention, right? So,
And and I was playing for a team that Julio Frank was a starting shortstop. So
right,
at
yeah.
that
So,
point, my future as an infielder was kind of shaky,
right. So, yeah,
to say
it's
the
a tough,
least.
it's a tough go behind, right?
And
But
then
okay,
then they get A-Rod to boot.
yeah, not looking good. So, all right, Rich. So we know, obviously you have, credentials as far as playing the game, right? So I always say that sometimes because you're good at playing the game doesn't mean you can coach the game,
Mhm.
right? I'm sure you heard this before too,
Oh,
or you've
absolutely.
seen it.
Yes.
So now you come back and, obviously Mel was, youth service league. Mel was the guy. We all know that. We know, his situation. He moved away. Everything, whatever happens there.
Yeah.
Now you're brought in to, I guess, resurrect the league, right? We're trying to resurrect the team,
Yeah.
the organization.
Mhm.
Um, things are different now,
Oh,
than
absolutely.
back in the days, right? So,
Yeah.
how are we going to try to do this? How are we going to try to change and bring youth service back?
All right. So the first thing we're doing is I was able to sustain the teams that we had before. I was able to bring in a new coach who's very hungry to learn, a young guy. He's a fitness guru. And so he took on the team that I built since they were 9. So we had that team is now 14. We have a 15-year-old team that's been together for a while, and I was able to support them and make sure that they have the uniforms, all the essentials that they needed. Something that we kind of fell through for about 10, 15 years. Youth service hit the skids. And I was coaching all the travel teams. And part of the reason why I came back is because when I hear the comments against youth service, when I was coaching for all the teams, and it was easy coaching travel teams. I did Long Island Tigers, Gotham's, I did New York Grays. The money was great, but the politics was also heavy, and you really couldn't coach the way youth service taught me to coach.
Right.
I really couldn't bring the players. It was more of show up, a cliquish kind of a thing that they all know each other. You pay the money. You only keep about 12 or 13 guys in the team. Everybody plays all the time. And even whether you're hustling or not, you still get in the lineup. That was against my baseball value. So, you got to a point that I said, the money's okay, but now I'm doing well as a teacher. I got past the midpoint threshold. I can go back. And it was kind of close because I asked Mel, I want to come back. But then the New York Nine was also after me and they were offering me a lot. And I almost jumped over with Ian Millman to coach the Long Island, the New York Nine. But Mel called me a day before that. And Mel said, okay, what do you want to do? Where do you want to coach? I said, wherever you have at the time he needed a coach for the 14-year-olds. So I said, I'll take that because I'm a high school coach. You know this. I can work with this. And so that's how I got back. And then as soon as I got back, then I saw what the infrastructure within the coaches, the relationships, the connections, how they were kind of trying to either outplay or to try to fulfill their own agenda, regardless of what the organization, what the values were. So I saw a lot of things that, I said, no wonder, your service is the way it is now. So what I've done is I've now forming a board of directors, which we never had. I have about the commitment from 5 top professionals in their own field that they care for the organization. A lot of those parents, their 9 and 10 and 11-year olds play for me. So now that we have a connection, they see where the organization wants to go, which is parallel with the way the organization was left by Mel, the way his father set it up, the way Mel ran it. And so they have faith and they want to keep this. So I have a board of directors working. I have partnered with the Brooklyn Baseball League, the president. He's become the appointment and advisor for me and the organization when it comes to dealing with all the organization. He offered us the bits that we used to get from playing in the parade grounds league. We don't necessarily have to play in the parade ground leagues to have a bid to Johnstown or to some of the major tournaments, the regionals or nationals. So that's an advantage. Plus, you got the permits because we no longer have access. Well, we have access, but we no longer control American Legion. So we're playing out of parade grounds, Six Diamonds, the Severian Fields, and that's out of the courtesy of the Brooklyn Baseball League.
Okay.
So I'm getting extra permits. I have new gyms now that we can use for the winter programs because I partner with some programs, a couple of beacon programs that have access to the public schools, and through them we can use the gyms at no cost.
So, Rich, real quick, I want to just jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
So you're getting help from Brooklyn. You said the Brooklyn
Baseball League.
baseball league, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is there any other collaborations of organizations that you guys will be willing to work together with? Like, I feel like almost like USER is being like a throwback of a team,
Yeah.
right? It's almost like maybe you might need a little collaboration from people that knew what youth service was and have maybe their own organization. Sometimes pride is like, I don't want to help, but sometimes we have to push that to the side, right? Say, hey, you know what? Maybe we can do something together as long as they have the same frame and mindset
Vision. Yeah.
and vision as you. And so is that something you would consider?
Well, let's take, for instance, our uniforms this year. They were made by Julio Jimenez, who was a graduate from youth service program. He's fortunate enough to have his own sports gear factory and store in Texas. And so now our caps, uniforms, at all of the gear that we are getting, even face masks, gloves, jackets, we have ordered from him as opposed to ordering here and dropping a lot more money or giving whatever support we get from youth programs in the city. We had to automatically give to a sporting goods shop because of his prices. So now we don't have to do that. But that's one way to collaborate with someone who came from the organization. We had a couple of Zoom meetings with Adam Adovino, who graduated from the program as well, just to talk to the boys, give them some encouragement. And he wears the youth service shirt that I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Yes.
But he wears it while he's working out, at Fenway Park and things like that. And he's ran into other players who know about youth service.
Right.
So that's one way to promote. I've spoken with some of the other guys like Nelson Figueroa. We were using the batting cages at the All City, the All Premier in Queens. And he was doing pitching lessons there. I asked him, could you please come in and do some work with our kids? And he was glad to do it. Joel Chimeles, he was another graduate. He was a batting instructor for the AAA team for the Mets. I don't know if he's still with them. I need to get back to him. But he also lent his willingness to promote the program.
Richard, I'm sorry to cut you off. You bring up a great point, right? You name these alumni, and there's so many alumni from Youth Service League.
Yeah.
I mean, what is my message? And again, this is my humble opinion. This has nothing to do with Richard or anyone. I played against service for years. Mel was Mel was the person that he didn't recruit you to come play for him. You wanted to go play there. Not like
Right.
this what I see now with coaching. Everybody's picking each other's pockets and
Yeah.
grabbing players, right? And there's so much alumni that have come from service that they could say whatever they want now about Mel or whatever the league or they did this or whatever. I don't know. I don't get into that stuff. But
Yeah.
at the time of you becoming a professional, you needed you service and Mel. I don't care what anyone has to tell me because if not, you wouldn't have went there. Okay, so let's just air that out real quick. And again, I leave that Richard. You keep discussing it as far as getting help. I believe the alumni should be jumping all over this. That's just my opinion.
I have to echo what you just said. You're not the only one who have wondered what happened to all of those, because they see it in videos. If you go into the youth service website that we have now, you can still see images of some of the old players, and they wonder what happened. And so what I'm asking is that what was it's in the past. We're still pushing to keep this organization and bring it back to the days where we nationally ranked. We have a lot of competition because the travel programs are constantly picking, like you said, pickpocketing and grabbing the kids on recruiting, offering a dream and a magic pill. Youth service is about hard work. Youth
Yeah, a
service.
lot of these guys are used car salesmen. I like to call them.
Yes, yes, indeed. Because, well, what I do is I call them YouTube trainers. You watch a couple of videos and then you go back and you use the lingo and you use the language and you present it to the parents in a way in which if your kid comes to me, I have the magic pill in a week or two, it's gonna increase 200 points on his batting average. And so you sell a dream to a player that you know that is marginal, but that's not youth service because we are going to tell you, look, this is where you are right now. If you put in the work, you can go here. And then we're going to put you in a situation where you need to actually do that once, twice, three times. And it's usually between work and then what you do at game speed. We play close to like 70 games, my 15, 16-year-old team. And we did about maybe 5, 6 showcases. And all they had to pay was $150.
Hmm.
We didn't even crack 1,000.
Right.
And they were showcased at Diamond Nation. They were showcased at Future Stars. They were showcased at Firecracker. And some of them performed very well to a point that college coaches came over buzzing around. Remember, a youth lost a year and a half of exposure because of the COVID-19 quarantine.
Right.
And so my job now is to make sure that I try to regain some of that time so that they can, at least if they're graduating and they're ready to go by 2022, they have some choices. The organization did that for me. It did it for so many others. And I'm just pleading with the guys who perhaps they watched the show and they said, look, we're still alive. Those were my words on Instagram. We're still alive. We're working. It's a slow process to bring it back. But like the president says, if I'm going to bring it back, I'm going to bring it back better. I'm not going to just have people running around and being individuals. I'm going to bring in an organization that can stand the test of time. And so I'm hoping that the alumni will hear this message and they would trust me with the mission because I am invested. And I think that we are in a good place right now. And hopefully, if the health situation citywide stays the way it should be, then we should have plenty of opportunities so that we can start our own showcases. And, we've made an impression. We're playing in the league in the Bronx. I have a commitment from a coach in the Bronx. We're expanding there. Even though that youth service league, it is a Brooklyn-based organization. It was Brooklyn-born, but we expanded because we had no choice.
Right.
And
It's how do you say it? It's you're up against it, right? Because a lot of coaches are getting paid now and travel ball and stuff like
yeah,
that. But you guys have an advantage as far as a surplus of alumni that has been professional or has been in the
mhm,
minor leagues or have went to colleges, and that is golden if they utilize it. There's other ways to pay it forward. It doesn't have to be
right.
money. So
Mhm,
if they can pay it forward and come like Nelson and guys like that and do clinics
mhm.
and help, I think that's golden. And that should teach parents and kids that, you know what, yeah, the coaches are volunteering their time, but look at this knowledge you're probably learning at a more economical price. So, Richard, I wish you the best of luck, man. I never played for service. I always say like one of my mulligans in the city would be probably to play for service and Mel. But I'm one of those guys that I used to like to try to beat those guys, and I was afraid of the running. But you know, Richard, again, anything you want to say before we sign off? Just let everyone know, where to contact you. Have your email there,
Yeah.
and again, just get your message out there.
Well, just to my message is that number one, I'm very proud of the guys who made it, all of the guys who went to D1, all of the guys who played in college, period. Because you didn't play in a D1 program doesn't mean that you were not a hell of a player. It's just there's a program to fit everyone's talent. And if you were able to get out of the city or play at that level, then you're fortunate. It's not everyone that can say, I play college ball. And if you remember that you hone your skills in an organization that didn't want nothing but the best for you, then I need you to remember that and then give us some support because I'm so proud of all of the guys who came through, me being one. And if it weren't because of the organization, some of the guys would have gotten lost and they wouldn't have had the success that they reached out. So guys like Dylan Betances, guys like Pedro, who I am in touch with, we do business from time to time. Benny Castillo, all those
Pedro
guys.
Beato.
Yeah, Pedro.
Yes.
So I'm very proud of what they done. They all family members now. They got kids. The kids are now actually doing well. Like Mike Rodriguez's son, the guy's a stud. So proud. So I just want them to remember that I remember them well, and I wish them well. I'm proud of the parents they have turned out to be, but I want them to also be proud of the organization. So that's what I'm working for. So they can start wearing the shirts because everywhere my kids go today, there's always someone who pops out and said, "Oh my God, you still play for that team? That team used to be the best in the city.
Yeah.
I'd love to play for that team."
No, definitely.
And it's still happening now that we're playing in the Bronx and we're playing in Westchester. They see the colors and someone remembers. So I'm willing to partner with other organizations, but we're not losing our colors and we're
No,
not
I
losing
gotcha.
our name. If they
Yeah,
want to
no.
partner, I'm all for it. But we are who we are. We're the Blue Machine.
All right, thanks, Richard. I had a part. My question for my partner, Mr. A, said, "Do you have a successor in line for when you finally do retire?" Mr. A, he is taking over for Mel Zitter, who used to run the organization for years. So he's trying to get the organization lined up first before he thinks about retiring. Right, Richard?
Oh, absolutely. I think I got many miles in the tank.
There you go.
I do
Again,
my push-ups every day. So
yeah, no, I see it. I see it. You got, I want to thank you again, Richard. Again, much success and bring service back, man. I think that's a big part of a part of the city. So,
and Sally, I
mm,
thank you so much for this opportunity to reach out to the outer world and let my boys know that I'm very proud of them. Thank you so much.
take care, buddy.
Take care, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Corbo. I want to thank you guys, whoever tuned in today or see this on the rewatch. Uh, yeah, man. Youth Service League was something that either you played for them or you was against them, and I think we're missing that nowadays. The rivalries, people wanting to be together and you know play with a family. I think everybody's quick to jump ship. So I think it's time to bring service back, man. And again, like there's people out there, good people. Shout out to Ian. He mentioned Ian, my brother Eric Helm, Didi. Brooklyn Cougars. Anybody listening, man? Give Richard a holler. See what's going on. Let's bring service back. Again, guys, Wednesday on so the set 6145. We have Miss Jasmine Ray or Mrs. Jasmine Ray. I hope I didn't mess that up. We got the election tomorrow, guys. Go out there and vote, man. Go out there and vote. New York City's need, don't cry that you didn't vote. Get out there, try to make them send a message out there tomorrow. And you know, just a tip on Wednesday. This sorry. Just set 6145 on Wednesday, 7 p.m. YouTube and Facebook. This is me signing off on Just the Tip. All right. I see you guys this weekend. I see you Wednesday, actually. Have a good one.